My dad saw his GP 27 times between 2008 and 2017. On the 21st visit, my mum and dad saw this same GP specifically about my dad's mental capacity. By then, my dad had already started divorce proceedings. The GP recorded that there were no underlying psychiatric problems, no psychosis, and no cognitive issues. 4 months later, my mum and brother saw a different GP and persuaded him to try to have my dad sectioned under the Mental Health Act. You're about to hear a covert recording of my dad with that GP. What you hear will raise eyebrows. The GP spends around 40 minutes trying to push a referral to the mental health team and intimidating my dad. 6 months later, my dad was diagnosed with vascular dementia and deemed to lack capacity to make important decisions. It was a very unsafe diagnosis and sealed his fate. His dopamine agonist medication and its compulsive side effects were never investigated.
On what basis are you divorcing your wife?
Unreasonable grounds. I'm nearly 71 years old and I don't think I've got that too long to live. So it must be a fairly important step for me to take.
And what is that based on?
I'm sorry, I can't disclose information. It's unreasonable behaviour. What has happened is over the last possibly 20 years, my son who was here yesterday and my wife have a gardening business, and I believe that they've got a fixation for one another, not a physical fixation. So I come round to the bottom of the pile and not at the top of the pile, and I've just had enough.
Why do you think your son is concerned about your mental health?
Again, I've got my son and my wife, and they're very close to each other. Not physically, but in other ways. And therefore, I can't tell you what's gone off before. It wouldn't be right, that. But let us say they may conspire to try and, what is the word, get me out of the picture. I'm not saying they would. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying they go that far. But that is a possibility of getting me out of the way, out of the picture. As I say, a lot of things have gone off, and if the solicitor didn't think he'd have a case, he wouldn't take it on. He's had 20 years experience, so it's got to be fairly serious for me to do these things.
Do you know your wife can make an application to get you sectioned
Oh yeah.
under the Mental Health Act?
Yes, oh yeah, I'm an ex-retired policeman. Oh yeah, I know that. Know all about that.
What if she does that?
Well, I'd definitely contest it.
Now, Mr. Williams, do you want my honest opinion?
Yes?
I think there's certain mental health disorders where you have what we call ideas of reference, persecutory ideas, certain abnormal beliefs, okay?
Yeah.
If you have that mental health problem, you lack insight, you don't realise that your
Okay, okay.
You don't realise that your
Yeah.
mind is...
Okay, it's correct, you're right, yeah. I accept that.
Every person that's got a mental health problem like you have will say that, you know, I'm alright.
Oh no, I don't say that. I am not perfect, but I don't know all my, let's say, defects or weaknesses. I don't know them. Oh, I know some of them, but I don't know.
So can I persuade you? Because even now, if you went to court and your wife said, well, he refused a mental health assessment contrary to the advice of his GP, that in itself will throw you a case.
Well, okay, that may be so, but as I say, I've got to be guided by what the solicitor says, and to hopefully to come to some arrangement between ourselves that I will, when we get this possibly first part of the case at court, and she doesn't contest it, and she doesn't start prolonging negotiations, then I will say, look, I'm back here, doctor. I'll go through these tests with you.
What if he turns around and says, fine, you can have your divorce, and I'll have half your house and everything else you've got?
Oh yeah, that'll be that's her entitlement.
You're not bothered about that?
No. I've got to make my own plans for the short life I've got left. It's going to be hard for me, don't get me wrong. This is why...
Where would you go with him?
My dad spends the next 5 minutes discussing coherently and logically his different living arrangement options, working things out financially, trying to decide things based on how long he thinks he's got to live, and there was no sign of any dementia whatsoever. The doctor then starts asking strange questions about his solicitor.
Okay, so solicitor will take a shed load of money off you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, certainly.
Is that the wisest thing to do, to give a shed load of your...
Well, yeah, but this is what you've got to think about. Why would I go through all this hassle for only a few years? So you've got to put yourself in my position and say, God, this bloke must be going through hell. And I am at times. Believe you or me, I am treated sometimes like a dog.
That's fine. All I'm saying is don't be surprised if your wife applies to have you sectioned under the Mental Health Act.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Alright?
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell your wife about our conversation today or not?
I prefer not, no. I prefer things to, because we're in a reconciliation stage.
Who's the solicitor?
No, I can't tell you. So, so what is going to happen? I can be assessed and all that type of thing. When this thing is part over.
Mr. Williams, can I take advice from one of my colleagues?
Yeah.
If that's a mental health practitioner, just to get, not necessarily to refer you, but to get their advice on what...
Yeah, certainly, no problem. You're acting in my interest.
Yeah, my name's Dr. I was wondering if there's anyone that I could speak to about some advice regarding one of our patients. Possible referral. And in the meantime, are you alright with me taking advice on the mental health?
Oh yeah. You've got to do your job.
Alright, okay. You're not really posing a risk to anyone else. You're probably just posing a risk to your own financial well-being by doing all of this, I suspect.
If you can sorry, if you don't mind just explaining that again. Sorry.
Maybe your mental health is affecting your ability to make decisions wisely, and hence that's why you're proceeding to divorce your wife. Obviously that's going to have a financial implication for you, okay?
Yes, I'm with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll ask them advice and I'll say what they want me to do. If they think that there's grounds to section you, so to get you assessed in a hospital without your consent, if they think that, then that could be a route we could go down.
Okay, so what would happen then if I was, let's say, 20 years younger, and we got the same problem? Would that thing still arise about this financial situation?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is, if another person, Mr. Smith, came in here, okay, and he gave you similar replies and all this type of thing, would Mr. Smith be probably sectioned, or I don't know, or can you say that, you know, Mr. Smith shouldn't get a divorce because of finance, or?
I'm not saying you shouldn't get a divorce. That's not... Alright, let me retract my statement, okay?
4 months later, my dad was diagnosed with vascular dementia in hospital during a life-threatening infection. He had delirium. This is a side effect. I was never spoken to. The psychiatrist was not given an accurate description of my dad's history. He didn't have an MRI scan, and crucially, his medications were never checked before making the diagnosis. My dad was examined again 10 days later, and he showed a marked improvement in his mental state examination, yet alarm bells did not ring. According to the psychiatrist, my father had no capacity to make the important decisions in his life. 1 month later, a specialist mental health nurse said the opposite. This diagnosis had huge implications for my dad. We argued it for years, including with the Parliamentary Health Ombudsman, and we got nowhere. Everything fell on deaf ears. Keep watching to find out how many different people and organisations didn't listen to us. We were stonewalled.